Hey guys, I have a question. Do you believe in the death penalty? I don't, but that's just me. That's my opinion. And when I think about the case of Darlie Routier, she was sentenced to death after she was convicted of capital murder in the death of her son, Damon Routier. He was 5 years old at the time of his murder, so that's how the state was able to get a conviction on capital murder. But like Darlie said in one of her interviews from death row, that even though she was only convicted, I shouldn't say only, but even though she was convicted of murdering her younger son, that she believes, of course, that the authorities believe that she actually murdered both of her sons who died on June 6th of 1996. But here's the thing I want to say about the death penalty. I believe Darlie Routier is guilty. In fact, with all the evidence against her, I personally don't think there's any question about whether or not she's guilty. I think she's guilty of sin. But I don't think she deserves to die as her punishment. I think what she deserved at the time of the murders, before the murders happened, I think what Darlie deserved was to live in a society that did not stigmatize the need for counseling. Just 4 weeks before little Devin and Damon Routier were murdered, Darlie had a really rough day. She was in tears. She was in bed. She was writing in her journal a letter to her children, asking them to forgive her for what she was about to do. According to one of her best friends who called me back in 2016, she begged Darlie and her husband both to get help. And Darlie told her that she didn't want to go for counseling because she said it wouldn't look good in the custody battle. That day when she was in bed crying and writing a letter to her children, she called her husband at work and asked him to come home early. And he did. And when he got home, he found her up in the master bedroom in tears. And he would later say in an interview, many years later, that he became angry with her for how she was feeling. And he said that they never spoke of it again. I'm not saying that what happened was her husband's fault at all. I think that Darlie and her husband were both a product of the times they lived in. Where people maybe experienced whatever it was, depression, hormones, postpartum issues, whatever it was she was experiencing. I don't think that Darlie or her husband knew how to deal with it. I don't think they knew how to reach out for help. That was just 4 weeks before their sons were murdered. I do think that Darlie, of course, failed her children. At the same time, I think that society at the time failed Darlie big time by not having services in place that she could reach out to and say, hey, I've been crying for too long.